We're going to start off with the 7th law, which is the law of attraction itself. I thought I was going to get some cheers in here finally. Right, because there's so many laws and most people only have heard about the law of attraction. So, now the law of attraction demonstrates how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives, our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions that produce energy, and in turn attract like energies. Negative energies attract negative energies, and positive energies attract positive energies. I'm sorry. All right. So, the law of attraction, again, it works with the most dominant thoughts, the most positive thoughts, but it also works with consistency.
Okay, got that.
That is the key. Consistency.
Consistency. Just write it how
I
you
probably
think.
didn't spell it right here.
Just write it how you think it does.
And consistency works with
Bless you.
Consistency works with all the laws, okay? So consistency, remember that is very important. That's what you need for all the laws. Okay? After a while, the law actually starts working for you. The trick to understanding the law is expect changes. A lot of people think that, the law of attraction works just like by putting out good thoughts. The law of attraction works with positive thoughts, but again, consistency, and again, thinking the same thing over and over like a mantra. So putting it out there. It's like digging a pit. Every single time you get deeper and deeper to your hole. I'm going to give you guys an example of the law of attraction, because once you become really consistent with the law of attraction and you start drawing these things to you, it starts working for you without you even realizing it.
I was just about to ask that. How do you put it on like auto? And
Put
you
it-
set it so that it just does it on its own.
Exactly.
Thing for you.
And a lot of the times it does work for us, but we're not noticing it because it's working in the midst of a challenge. I'll give you guys an example. A lot of people think, oh, the law of attraction, I'm going to attract all good to me. Well, nothing good comes without a little lesson, right? When something good comes with no lesson behind it, how are we going to appreciate it? We just kind of,
The rainbow doesn't come until after the rain.
The rainbow comes after a rain. And look at the rainstorm, right? Very good, Autumn. Thank you for that. And I like that. That's right. So, Autumn's like, yeah, all right. How did it start? So, now, what happens is the law of attraction always works when we're consistent, but we can put it, like Renee asked, on autopilot by being consistent, period. Let me give you guys an example. So, I'm putting up my website I've had for many years. I bought my domain name many years ago from one provider. And it is a Canadian provider. And so what happened was, I take the name and I point it to my blog. Because on my blog, I can change it as much as I want. It's not a static website. So what I do is, I was paying them $30 a year for my domain name, and $30 a year for them to point my domain name to my blog. Okay, you guys following me?
Really?
So yeah, they would link my domain name to my blog for me. So whenever anyone puts in CeriseFairfax.com, my blog will show up. So I noticed that when I would put in CeriseFairfax.com without the www, it wasn't showing up. So I put it out to the universe. I said, you know what, God? I would really like to change that soon, when my bill is due, which is 2014. Okay, because last year I paid for 2 years of my domain name, 1 year of pointing. Okay, so it was $67 to pay for that. Now, in January that just passed, I registered a new domain name for another business idea. And I didn't register it with the same company because I got a good deal through another company. And it was only 50 cents as opposed to $30, okay? So it was only 50 cents, and I was like, oh, wow, so I got this domain name now. So I asked them, how do I point it to my blog? Do you guys do that for me? And they're like, no, you can do it yourself. And I'm like, wow, okay, how do I do it myself? And I'm like, for free? They're like, yeah, for free. So they taught me how to do the DNS codes, the change to go in and change it and have it point to a blog. Not my CereseFairfax.com blog, but a different business name, different blog. It's Chez Cerise, the clothing business that I have on. Okay? So I was like, wow, this is awesome. So much power now for 50 cents. I registered a domain name and I also pointed it by myself. I'm going to do that next year. So I put it out to the universe again and I said, Father, God, divine power, this is what I'm going to do next year. Thank you for letting me know. All of a sudden, 2 days ago, I plugged in www.ceresefairfax.com and it's parked. It doesn't go to my blog. I'm like, what? And of course, how many people are going to my blog every day? Hundreds. I get hundreds of visitors a day. And I'm like, what in the world? So I got to take care of this immediately. Right away, my heart starts beating, and I'm like, oh gosh, great, this is another glitch, and it's all this technical stuff. It's going to take me hours to figure this out. So I call the provider, the Canadian provider, which I'm purposely not naming. So I called the Canadian provider, and I said, what's going on with my website? And she's like, oh, you owe us money. I'm like, that's impossible. You owe us money from 2012. And I'm like, well, you guys had, I said, if I did, then why are you guys hosting me right up until last week? No, there's something, you just owe money, so you have to pay that. And I said, you know what, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I want my name, I want to take it from you guys, and I want to transfer it to another provider that I know can provide me with better service. And she's like, well, to do that, you have to pay $67. You have to pay for 2013, and you also have to pay for 2012. I said, but I'm paid up to 2014. She's like, no, you're not. And I was like, okay, you know what? At that moment, I knew God's hand was in something because I know I'm paid. And I said to her, I'm a business owner. I've had this name for many years. There's no way I would let this glitch happen on my end. It's a glitch on your end, but I'm going to pay the $67. I'm going to go, and I said, will you take my debit card? And I said, and then you're going to give me my EPP? That's what the code is called for a domain name. I said, you'll give me my EPP code, the authorization code, and I can take that somewhere else? She said, yes. I said, okay, here's my debit credit card. We don't take debit credit card. So I'm like, so now I have to go all the way to Shoppers Drug Mart and get myself a prepaid credit card. God is all the way in this because he's like putting up the block after block. So I'm like, all right, you know what? At this point, I'm thinking, at least now I'll be able to get my domain name the way I want it with the CereseFairfax.com and not have to put in the www. So I go to Shoppers Drug Mart, and on my way there, I called the other provider to find out how much it's going to cost to transfer my website domain and ask them how much it is to purchase other years. And he said to me, $7.99 to transfer the name and $7.99 for each additional year. I was paying $30 with them for people for each additional year. So I said, well, I'll buy 5 years. You know, $7.99 a year, cool, for 5 years. So I went and I got a $100 credit card to make sure that I paid the $67 and then had extra on for the other stuff. So I get home with the credit card and I call the provider up to give them their $67 they say I owe them, and they're closed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God. And I'm like, okay, I'll be patient. It's 1 day. So then, what? Oh, by the way, when you make the transfer, it takes 6 to 7 days to actually make the transfer. So I was going to sacrifice my website being, like, the CereseFairfax.com being down for a good week. I was willing to sacrifice that. So then the next morning I wake up and I call them right when they open up. And this gentleman answers the phone. He's like, hello. And I said, hi, you know, I experienced this yesterday. I believe there's a glitch in the system, but I'm going to pay the $67 just to get this all dealt with and get away from what this whole circle is. He's like, I don't see that you owe us money. And I was like, yeah, because I don't, right? And he's like, you're paid up to 2014. And he's like, I don't know what's happening here, but he said, you know what? I'm going to email you all your information right now that you need to leave this company. And that's the reason why I'm not saying what company it is, because he realized at that moment, right, and I don't want to say it on camera because I don't want this company to find out what he did. He says, leave the company then if you're not happy because you have been disserviced kind of thing. And not only that, I said to him, Do you guys allow anyone to do their own DNS, their own pointing there? No. They always charge you $30 to point your blog, your domain name to your blog. So anyway, that was it. Everything got cleared. Everything got cleared. I went to the other company, called them up, purchased 5 years, got a year free, and everything is up and running. It didn't take 7 days, 5 to 7 days. It took, I was on the phone with you and I was trying to figure it all out, and it took a few hours. Oh gosh, not even a few hours.
No.
Like literally a few, like about a half an hour. And I went in, I did it all by myself and everything like that, and when I plug in www or not, my website comes up to my blog. And it's all because I was putting it out to the universe that I really want that to happen. All of a sudden, it was done for me. I had to go through the challenge, and it was a challenge, having to say, oh my gosh, I owe you money, what do you mean I don't? And, I mean, sorry, I don't owe you money, what do you mean I do? And then also, having to go get the credit card at Shoppers Drug Mart. I didn't have any plans to go out the house that day. I had plans to work from home all day. So, you know, that challenge alone, at that, in the midst of it all, I had to say, God, your hand is in this. And that is what we have to do during every single challenge. We have to realize that it may seem negative, but it is the law of attraction at work. Because we have to go through some kind of darkness before the light comes. The darkest hour is before dawn.